People who are very active, like runners, no matter what you tell me, you can see from the expression on their face, the action of running and putting the body under significant stress is not a joyful experience. There may be joy in being outside, being in nature, maybe being part of a community, but the act of running in and of itself is a stressful one. And, in nature, hunters would only run to catch prey. It would only be done for a reason of productivity. It would not be done for the sake of being done. So no one would run unless they had to. So I'll give an example to illustrate this more. Say hunters, tribal hunters, our ancestors, they would run, go out on a hunt, they'd kill an animal and they'd bring it back for the tribe to eat. That's normal because the product, the result is understood and it's necessary for our survival. But then these same hunters, they're going out, they're running, they're getting a big rock, and then they're carrying the big rock back to the tribe. They're mentally ill. The thing they're doing has no objective biological reasoning. So that's why I say the act of running, the act of stressing the body is not done for the reasons people think it's done. I think that most people run because they are reliant on the external validation that is, being a part of a community, people telling you, oh wow, you're so good, you're so disciplined for doing this difficult thing. And it's also internal validation. So these runners, they've got like an ideal in their mind of the sort of person they want to be. Like they think, I want to be this disciplined runner who lives this sort of life and is accepted in these sort of social groups and people respect in this way. And that is because internally they don't feel they are enough as they are. They feel that they have to, body something unnatural. They feel they have to, literally harm themselves in the pursuit of getting the approval from others and then in turn approval from themselves. A really good example of this is how a lot of young men and teenagers get into gym culture. So there's influencers like Ziz, who is tall, good looking, charismatic, and then you've got a lot of like the general population of teenagers who are insecure, maybe not as blessed in physical attributes, and they see this charismatic guy who is the ideal that they want to be. They wish they could talk to women, they wish that they could have people like them, interact with them in the same way that Ziz does, and they attribute that to the only thing of his characteristics that they can control, that being going to the gym. They're subjecting themselves to the pain that is lifting man-made metal over and over again to cause the body to adapt unnaturally, undergoing that stress for the satisfaction and to relieve the pain that is their insecurity. So these are like sort of big examples of people doing stuff that just doesn't make sense. But then when you really think about it, this is everywhere in society. So even just think about when you're in school, you'd be sitting in a classroom, you don't want to be sitting down, you're listening to a teacher who you don't care about anything they have to say, and you'd rather be outside in nature living your life. And when you're sitting in that chair, you're being trained to neglect and ignore your own urges, the urges that are your authentic self. So authentically, you want to be outside, living your life and doing things that make you happy and feel good. But, through the same mechanism that a dog is disciplined, trained to sit, trained to stay off the couch, whatever, you are trained from a very young age, all throughout your childhood, to not act how you wish to act and how you feel to act. So there's that example with school, and then also just how you interact with people. Politeness. How many times, I'm sure you guys all have your own opinions that are slightly different from a mainstream perspective. How many times are you censoring yourself? Are you, not wanting to offend anyone? Are you fearful? Like, you may not recognize it as fear, but it is. You're fearful to express yourself authentically to others for fear that you'll be socially condemned. This genuinely is like a mass delusion, like a global delusion that people are being brainwashed into. So, it even goes to the degrees of health. Like when you're in school, in primary school, whatever, you are told that vegetables are good for you, the sun causes skin cancer, all these sort of things. I obviously don't agree with them, but at the very least, you need to be able to have your own thoughts of things. You need to be able to have your own understanding and your own experience of things and act intuitively as a human is meant to act. No animal acts on such fabricated and subjective beliefs. You'll never see, so going back to the running, you'll never see any animal running for the sake of running. It's contradictory to everything that it is to be healthy. It just doesn't make any sense. And there is a case to be made that in order to deal with the man-made issues, so say like low circulation, man-made issue, you need to have a man-made fix, so being more active. Yeah, there's a case to be made for that, but it's to a degree. Ideally, you're happy, healthy, fulfilled, secure, and you don't need to do any action that you don't want to do. So, the philosopher Nietzsche, he talks about people think that, they act in politeness and they, are good citizens for love of one's neighbor, but in actual fact, it is fear of one's neighbor. It's fear of condemnation, fear of being ostracized from a social group, fear of, being cancelled. That's a big one today. Being cancelled, people don't speak their mind on social media, and those who do, get cancelled. So this is ultimately the largest factor in people's behavior. I know for a fact that the best feeling thing you can do is spend your days in the sun, eating real food, like raw milk, being in nature, being with friends, all this sort of stuff. But people are so brainwashed that they literally know that these are the things that feel good. Everyone who goes on vacation, where do they go on vacation? To tropical places with good sun, good food, fresh fruit, all that sort of stuff, because that's what feels good. That's what gives their body the relief that they're craving. They know this intuitively. That's why they act this way. But then they still go back to their 9 to 5. They still work an office job. They still run themselves into the ground, seeking man-made ideas, seeking imaginary money, seeking validation that they never received as children from society, from their parents. And it's a dysfunctional way of living. So why am I talking about this? Why am I giving these examples? What is the practical use of it? One, in terms of health, it's about listening to your body, not listening to the programming that you've gotten all throughout your life. And two, in, the health of your soul is acting authentically, not being stifled, smothered, restricted by so much worldly programming, and having the freedom to express who you are and express the animal and the person that you are. Because remember, all humans are animals. When you put a wild animal, which believe it or not humans are, in a cage, they're going to get anxious, depressed, angry, violent, mentally ill. If you look, you can see the city. What happens when you put, tens of thousands, hundreds of thousands of people, stack them in buildings in small boxes, feed them grain sludge, make them work under bright artificial light all day. They never see the sun. They never get into nature. One, they feel restricted. They turn to drugs, turn to alcohol. They're just looking for an escape. And two, mental illness and dysfunction manifests. You're a product of your environment, whether you believe it or not, understand it or not. So I think just be conscious of it. Just notice what things you're doing out of habit from programming and what things you're doing because you want to do them, because it feels good for you to do them. And just begin to shift into doing more things that feel right and letting go of the things that aren't for you, and letting go of the need to be validated by people. It's in the day of social media, in the modern day with social media, everyone is about comparison, and people are so just conscious and insecure about people's opinions of them. It doesn't matter. It's imaginary. It's not real. You need to develop a confidence in yourself and what you do, and a conviction in the way you live your life, such that no matter what anyone says, it just like rolls off you, because it's just words. If they're saying it to you in Chinese and you don't speak Chinese, you're not gonna take any offense. They're saying it in your language, it's still your choice to take offense to it, because you're the one that's attributing meaning to what they're saying and what they're thinking. In many cases, people even are imagining what people are thinking. People aren't even thinking it, but they're imagining out of fear and insecurity that people might be thinking these things, and that's causing them pain. That's not the way you're meant to live your life. You're meant to live your life free from these things. The only opinions you should care about are the ones of people you love, people who actually understand you, because they're the only people who can, give you any constructive judgment. So yeah, that's the video. Watch to the end. Good job. Just take control of your life. It's your life to live. Don't live for other people. Don't live for corporations. Don't live for governments. Really just do what feels good. And like you hear like a lot of not hippies, but like spiritual people say, like, be your higher self. But your higher self is the innate version of you who acts how she wishes to act. So be that version, and it will be your happiest, healthiest version. Promise you.